The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand in Sarajevo on June 28, 1914 was a spark, but the tinder was dry. Europe had been drifting toward war for decades, fueled by a toxic mix of nationalism, imperialism, and a tangled web of alliances. Countries like Germany and Austria-Hungary sought to expand their influence, while others like France and Britain aimed to protect their empires.
Each nation believed in its own righteousness, its own destiny. They armed themselves with new technologies, machine guns, poison gas, airplanes, weapons of terrifying power. The assassination of the Archduke, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, by a Serbian nationalist set off a chain reaction. Austria-Hungary, backed by Germany, issued an ultimatum to Serbia, one that was designed to be rejected.
Russia, bound by an alliance with Serbia, mobilized its army. Germany, fearing a two-front war, declared war on Russia and then on France, Russia's ally. Germany's invasion of neutral Belgium brought Great Britain into the conflict, fulfilling its obligation to defend the small nation. Within a month, the great powers of Europe were at war, and the world would never be the same.
August 1914. The armies of Europe mobilized with a speed and efficiency that surprised even their own generals. Germany, following the Schlieffen Plan, aimed for a swift knockout blow against France. They swept through Belgium, their advance marked by atrocities against civilians. The German plan faltered at the Battle of the Marne, where French and British forces halted their advance. The war on the Western Front settled into a bloody stalemate. Trenches, stretching for hundreds of miles, became the defining feature of the war. Soldiers on both sides faced a nightmare of mud, rats, disease, and constant artillery bombardment. On the Eastern Front, Russia, despite its vast size and manpower, was hampered by poor leadership and inadequate supplies. They suffered heavy losses against the Germans at the battles of Tannenberg and Masurian Lakes. The Ottoman Empire, hoping to regain lost territory, joined the war on the side of the Central Powers, opening up new fronts in the Middle East and the Caucasus. The world watched in horror as the casualty lists grew longer with each passing month. The old rules of warfare seemed to have been abandoned. This was a new kind of war, a total war, one that would consume the lives and resources of entire nations. The years that followed saw some of the bloodiest battles in human history. On the Western Front, names like Verdun, the Somme and Passchendaele became synonymous with unimaginable slaughter. Millions of men were fed into the meat grinder of trench warfare, with little to show for their sacrifice but miles of mud and mountains of corpses. New technologies, poison gas, tanks, airplanes only added to the horror without breaking the stalemate. On the Eastern Front, the war was equally brutal, though more fluid. Russia, despite its setbacks, continued to tie down vast numbers of German and Austro-Hungarian troops. However, the strain of war was taking its toll on the Russian people. Food shortages, economic hardship, and the staggering losses at the front fueled growing discontent with the Tsarist regime. In 1917, revolution erupted in Russia. The Tsar was overthrown and a provisional government took power, but it too was unable to end the war or address the country's deep-seated problems. The year 1917 marked a turning point in the war. In April, the United States, outraged by German submarine warfare and the Zimmermann telegram, declared war on Germany. The entry of the United States, with its vast industrial might and fresh troops, would eventually tip the balance in favor of the Allies.
In November 1917, the Bolsheviks, led by Vladimir Lenin, seized power in Russia. They promised peace, land and bread, and immediately sought a way out of the war. In March 1918, Russia signed the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk with Germany, ceding vast territories in exchange for peace.
The treaty allowed Germany to transfer troops from the Eastern Front to the West, but it came too late. The German people were exhausted, their resources depleted. The arrival of American troops, full of fighting spirit, boosted Allied morale and strengthened their resolve.